Hello, viewers. Myself, Dr. KSR Radhika, working as Associate Professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, SRKR Engineering College, Bhimavaram. Today's session is Convex Hull, Quick Hull, using the concept of divide and conquer. This is the topic that is related to geometry, that is convex hull and quick hull. So first of all, convex hull and quick hull. So in geometry, for example, let S be set of points in a plane. Let S be set of points in a plane. What is convex hull? A polygon is defined to be convex if for any 2 points P1 and P2 inside the polygon, if P1 and P2 points inside the polygon, the direct line segment from P1 to P2 is fully contained in the polygon. If it is fully contained in the polygon, then we say that this is a convex. So for example, if you see here, so if you have 2 points, in this example X and Y. So if you draw a line between X and Y, so then you can see that the total line is within this polygon. So then we say that it as convex. Suppose if you take the polygon like this, that is some polygon like this. So then what happens? Here the total line, the complete line is not within the polygon. So then we say it as concave. So what is convex hull? The convex hull of a set S of points in the plane is defined to be the smallest convex polygon containing all the points of S. So that means, suppose if you have some points here, so you should draw a polygon such that the polygon contains all the points and it should be the smallest one. It should be the smallest one. So that means what? It is a minimization problem. So that is, you should draw the polygon such that, how you should draw the polygon? It should be the smallest polygon such that it contains all the points. That is called as convex hull. So two variants of your convex hull. So if you want to find the convex hull of your problem, then we have two variants. What are those two variants? Is obtain the vertices of the convex hull. So first of all, so for example, if you have some points here, so first you should obtain the vertices, that is this point, this point, this point, this point, like this. So first of all, you should get all the vertices of your polygon. Then only you will be able to draw the convex hull. So that means that you will be able to draw the polygon. So these points, what we call these points are, these points we call them as extreme points. So that means what, if you take a point like this, so you will have so many points. So out of this you will take this as this point as a it is the vertex of your polygon. So if you take a point as the vertex of the polygon, means it is the extreme point. So that means what, after that you don't have any points of your, that is of your set. If you don't have any points of your set, that is if you draw a something line like this, so then all the points will be before that only. So like this you have to take the extreme points. So these vertices are also called as extreme points. And the next one is obtain the vertices of convex hull in some order. So that means it can be either clockwise or anti-clockwise. So that is, for example, if you obtain that this is the extreme point, if you obtain that this is the extreme point, so that means you have concluded that this is one of the extreme point. So then you can find the next extreme point as this. So if you are taking the clockwise direction, if you are taking anti-clockwise direction, means then the next extreme point will be this point. So like this, you have to find all the extreme points of your polygon either in the clockwise direction or in the anti-clockwise direction. These are the two variants of your convex hull problem. Next, whenever if you want to find the extreme points, the time complexity. A point is non-extreme point if and only if it is inside some triangle. Those vertices are points of the set and it itself is a corner of the triangle. So I will tell you how to find the extreme extreme points. So whenever if suppose if you consider that this and some another point, this is some points. So if you consider a triangle, so if you draw the triangle, what it should contain is, it should contain all maximum all the points that is in your set. So then that particular point is called as the, that means it should contain all the points contained in it maximum. So then we can call it as an extreme point. So suppose if you want to find the extreme points, so testing a point lies in a triangle takes big O of one time. So but there will be how many possible triangles? Because we have n points, so that's why any combinations of any three combinations of your points. So that means what will happen? You will have total how many possible triangles? So you have n points, and now you want to find the possible triangles. Triangle means set of 3 points. So set of 3 points means in order to find different possible triangles, the time complexity will be big O of n cube. So but if you want to check whether a particular point lies in that one or not, that for one single point it takes big O of n cube. For n points it takes n into n cube. So that's why it will become n power 4. So because there are n points, the total time required for one point it is n cube, order of n cube. So why we are saying n cube? Because we have set of n points, and how many possible triangles we will have. So you should check whether that point lies in which triangle. So then what happens? For how many possible triangles you have to check? It is combination of 3 points. So that's why there you will have totally order of n cube points. So if you have n cube points means for one point you have to check n cube triangles. So for n points you have to check n into n cube. So that's why it will become big O of order of n power 4. So this is the time complexity for finding the extreme points. So this is a Navy algorithm which also computes the time complexity. So here for each pair of points, this is the algorithm. For each pair of points, constructs its connecting segments and supporting line. Construct its connecting segment and supporting line. So that means what you have to do is, for example, if you consider this as the extreme point, so then you can take a point, that is you can take a point like this and you can construct a line. You can construct a line. Find all the segments or supporting lines, divide the plane into two halves. Find all the segments or supporting lines, divide the plane into two halves such that one half contains all the other points and the remaining half you don't have any points. So that is, for example, if you take this point as the extreme point, and you will check with all, for example, if you take this point, first of all take this point. So now you are taking another point, this point. So after taking this point, you are drawing a line. So after drawing the line between these 2 points, also extend that line towards both the directions. So this side it is extended and this side it is extended. So if you draw the line like this, you have to see whether the line segment, that is this line, whether this line is dividing the your total plane into two halves. Yes, it is dividing. After that, what you have to check is, you have to check whether this line is dividing the points such that all the points comes to one side of your plane, and the remaining side remains empty without any points. But is it happening here with these 2 points? So here what is happening? So here you have some 5 points to the left of this line, and to the right of this line you have how many points? 1 2 3 4 5 6. So this side you have 2 points on your line and 5 points on the left side of your line and 6 points on your right side of the line. So that's why you should not consider these 2 points as a part of your polygon. So it has failed the condition. So then like that you have to check for all. So like what happens? So if you want, then for example, if you have taken this point and this point, so you have combined these 2 points and also extended the straight line to both the directions, both sides. So this side it is extended and this side it is extended. So then what happens? Suppose if is this line dividing the plane into two halves? Yes, it is dividing. This is one half and this is another half. And the second constraint is what? So you have to check whether all the points on one side of your plane or not. So now what you, if you check, so the points 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. All the points are lying towards the left of your line. And if you consider the right of your line, that is this side, do you have any points? We don't have any points. So then we say that this these two particular points are the extreme points of your polygon, and this line is a part of your polygon. So you can conclude it like that. So once you got 2 points of your polygon, so then again you can do either clockwise or anti-clockwise. Suppose if you are doing clockwise, so for this point you will find the connecting point which is satisfying those two constraints. So if you connect this point, then what happens? So again, uh, if you draw the line, then it will come like this. So this is also satisfying, that is to the left of the line you are having all the points and to the right of the line you don't have any points. So now next point becomes this one. Next you will connect with this one like this, with this next to this point like this. So like this you can find the convex hull of your problem. So this is the convex hull algorithm. But here whenever if you want to check, so here what is happening? So here you have to check for all pairs of points. So for example, you have started for this point. So it contains how much, it takes how much time. So it has to check with all pairs of points. So that means for one point, it will take how much? So with this point, this point, this point, like this, all the pairs. That is, for one point, if you want to check, it takes how much time? It takes big O of n. So like that, for total, if you consider, so how many lines you will have? So it will have n square lines. So that's why for the total time complexity of this algorithm will become n into n square. That is, it will become n cube. So anyway, you have reduced to a little, but this is also not that much. It is somewhat less than the previous, but it is okay. So next we can use the divide and conquer algorithm for finding this convex hull, and it can be solved in big O of n log n, and this algorithm is called quick hull algorithm. So before going to that algorithm, so we will see certain geometric constraints. So consider the directed line segment P1 and P2 from some point P1 is equal to x1 y1 to some another point P2 is equal to x2 y2. So if q is equal to another point, that is x3 y3, we say that q is to the counterclockwise, that is left, or clockwise, that is right of your P1 P2. So that is, we want to check whether q is to the left or right. So to q is to the left or right means here we say that it is clockwise or counterclockwise. So how you can tell it? Counterclockwise means if the slope of P1 comma P2 is less than P1 comma Q. If the slope of P1 comma P2 is less than P1 comma Q. So how you can write the slope? Y2 minus Y1 by X2 minus X1, and the slope of P1 comma Q is what? It is Y1 minus Y3 by X1 minus Y3. So like this, you otherwise if it is not less than means we say that it is clockwise, that is to the right. So clockwise means right, and counterclockwise means left. So for example, if you take this example P1 P2, so if you compute this, so we say that here Q is to the counterclockwise of P1 and P2. So that is to the left turn. So if you take a point like this, we say that it is to the right. It is to the right of your P1, P2. If you take P1, P2, we say that it is to the right of P1, P2. That is towards the right. So this can be, suppose if you have the P1 and P2 like this and Q here, so then we say that it is no turn. It is neither left or neither right. So similarly, let A be an n by n matrix whose elements are A of ij, 1 less than or equal to I and j less than or equal to n. Then the ijth mirror of A, denoted as Aij, is defined to be the submatrix of A obtained by deleting the ith row and the jth column. The determinant of A is denoted as det of A and is given by the formula like this. So you should follow all the geometric primitives, some of the geometric primitives whenever if you are computing the whenever if you are trying to find the convex hull. Similarly, we can check whether Q is to the clockwise or counterclockwise of P1 comma P2 by evaluating the determinant of the matrix. So if the determinant is positive, then we say that Q is to the left of P1 and P2. If the determinant is negative, then we say that P1 is then we say that it is to the right of P1 and P2. If the determinant is 0, then we say that P1, P2, P3 are collinear. And suppose whenever if you want to check whether the point is contained in the triangle or not. So for that one, what you will do is to check whether the point P lies within the triangle formed by P1, P2, P3, if and only if P is to the right side of P1, P2, P2, P3 and P3, P1. So then we say that the point, that is for all the three, P1, P2, P2, P3, P3, P1. For all the three, we say that the point should be on the right side of these three. So then we say that the P is contained within the triangle formed by the 3 points, that is P1, P2, P3. So based on these logics, so you can see the algorithm, that is the convex hull algorithm. So here the time complexity, the time complexity has been reduced to n log n. So how you can find is, so first identify the 2 points. First identify the 2 points, that is called P1 and P2 of x with the smallest and largest x coordinate values. So both P1 and P2 are the extreme points and part of your convex hull. So what you, for example, if these are the points, so now you have to find the 2 points, this P1 and P2, such that you should have the smallest and the largest x coordinates. So suppose if you take, this becomes these two contains the smallest and largest x coordinates. So that means this becomes the longest line when regarding the x direction. So now you have to consider those 2 points and then you have to combine those 2 points. Okay, these 2 points are combined. So then these 2 points will become the extreme points. That is, these 2 points will become the extreme points of your convex hull. So, and also it will divide the plane into 2 halves. It will divide the plane into 2 halves. So here towards the right are x1 and towards the left are x2. So now if you see here, we have 2 different planes and the points are also distributed in the 2 planes. Okay, so the set x is divided into x1 and x2 so that x1 has all the points to the left of the line segment P1, P2 and x2 has all the points to the right of the line segment P1, P2. So like this. So now here you have 2 planes. Here x1 have all the points to the left of the line segment and x2 have all the points to the right of the line segment. So now both x1 and x2, both x1 and x2 include the 2 points P1 and P2. So suppose if you consider X1 plane, so P1 and P2 contains to X1, that is they are also included in X1 and also they are included in X2. Okay. So next what you have to do is the convex hull of X1 and X2 called upper hull and lower hull are computed using divide and conquer algorithm. So this is just getting the 2 points. So and where we have implemented the divide and conquer strategy in the quick hull algorithm. So here what we have done the change is, so here we are finding the upper hull and lower hull. These two are computed using divide and conquer algorithm. That is called as your quick hull algorithm. So how you can find that two upper hull and lower hulls? Identify a point P3 in X1 with the largest area of the triangle. So now here P3 is a point. So you have, out of all these points, you have to find a point P3 which is the largest triangle. That is, you have to check with this point, this point, this point, like this. You have to check with all the points. So while checking, you have to see that it should be the largest. It should contain the largest area in your X1. In your X1, it should contains the largest area. That is, it should have largest area. So the algorithm identifies all the points of X1 that are to the left of the line P1, P3. Along with P1, P3 will make up the set X11. The points of X1 that are to the left of the line P3, P2 along with P2, P3 will make up the set X12. So that means, for example, if you have taken that point as P3, so now you have drawn a line like this. So whenever if you take a point P3 with such that you are getting a triangle with largest area, that means what does it indicate? So out of all the points, so in the X1 plane, how many points you have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So out of all the 9 points, so here if you observe, only 3 points are left over here. Only 3 points are left over outside this triangle. So why we are taking here it as largest triangle is such that the triangle contains almost maximum points in it. So like this you will find the triangle such that it is having the maximum points. So once you have found the points like this, so then you will consider the line P1, P3 and another line P3, P2. So now you will take all the points that is to the left of the line P1, P3, because to the right of the line means they are contained in the triangle. So you will take all the points that are to the left of P1, P3. So that means those points are not yet added to your triangle. So they are outside the triangle. So that is, here you have only one point, that is which is in blue color. So this is considered. So that is the points to the left of the P1, P3 are this plane is, we are calling it as again X11. So that means what? Your X1 is again being divided into two planes. So that is X11. And next, the points of X1 that are to the left of the line P3, P2. So that is those two. Here we have only, in this example, we have 2 points, that is in green color, these 2 points. So these 2 points, we call them as, it makes the set of X12. So remaining all points are either inside this triangle or at least on the borders of your triangle. So that's why we say that these are already contained, these are already included in our convex hull. So that's why the leftover points are in the plane X11 and X12. So that is this blue point and these 2 green points. So this process is continued recursively. So now what we have done? We have divided. So here we have used the divide and conquer strategy. So now what we have done? So first of all, you have divided this plane into this total into two planes. So next your x11 is divided again by getting two another small planes. Okay. So this process continues until the problem becomes small. So now P3 is a vertex of your upper hull. So now you got the P3. So this is the points above this point P1 and P2. So this total we call. So here we are trying to find the upper hull and lower hull. So for upper hull, now you got a point P3. So P3 is a vertex of your upper hull. The points inside the triangle P1, P2, P3 can be eliminated for further consideration. So why we are saying that they can be eliminated for further consideration? Because these are these points, that is the points in the black that are placed in your triangle P1, P2, P3. So these points can be eliminated. Why we are saying that they can be eliminated? Because by using these three extreme points, that is P1, P2, P3. So these points are contained in your hull. So that's why they can be excluded. So now you have to work for only this, the points outside P1, P3 and the points, that is the points outside this upper hull, that is this blue point and these two green points, that is x11 and x12. So the algorithm recursively continues for the construction of upper hull on x11 and x12. So next what happens is again the same algorithm continues for this plane and also this plane, that is x11 and x12. So like this you will also find the extreme points in these two regions also. So for example, here we have only one point. So then what happens? This P1 should connect to this blue point and then it should be connected to this one. So out of these two, again you will get the triangle as this green point. So now this will be connected here and this will be connected here. So like this the algorithm recursively continues for the construction of upper hull on x1 and x2. So concatenate all the points. So whatever you get, P1, P2, P3, so on like that. And so on. Then we get the upper hull of x1. So here how many points you will get? This is P1. This is you can call this as P4. Next to P3 and you can call this as P5. And then it should be connected to P2. So now this P1 to P4, P4 to P3, P3 to P5, P5 to P2. So this becomes the upper hull of X1. So that means first of all you have found for this one. Then next you have divided to X11 and X12. Next again X11, if it is solved with one level means it will be solved. So you will get this point. If it is not solved means again it will be divided. Like this the division will be done and you will get the solutions for that small problems and those solutions will be combined. So that means what happens? So these 2 points will be combined. That is P4 and P5 will be combined. And finally you will get the solution for your X1. That is the upper hull for your X1. Similarly, the algorithm continues for the lower hull also. So that means for the X2 also, you have to find the lower hull. And finally, if you combine these two, you will get the total polygon. That is the convex hull of your algorithm for your particular set of points. So like this, if you combine all the things, then you will get a polygon that is A, B, some I, O, P, N and C. So this is what we say that it is the smallest polygon that is containing all these points. It is the smallest polygon that is containing all these points. So if you see here, it is first you got AP. Next to the triangle, that is the next point you will get this I or J. Next you will get this B. Next you will get this O. So that means now this becomes the A, B, J, O, P becomes the upper hull. So similarly for X2. So for X2 also first you will get K point. So then you will get the C point. So finally you will get the lower hull. If you combine again these two solutions, you will get the total convex hull. So this is the problem of convex hull. So next one is the time complexity. the running time of quickhull is as with quicksort, depends on how evenly the points are split at each stages. So that means, suppose if it is dividing the points into equally two halves, so then it will be almost same as your quicksort. But suppose if it divides the list into one list as heavy list and another list as zero, so then what happens? It takes more time. Then that becomes the worst case. So it will be almost the same. So that's why here we say that T of n is equal to 1 if n is equal to, if it has only 1 point. Otherwise, we say that it is, if n is greater than 1, so then we say that it is T of n1 plus T of n2 plus big O of n. So that is, big O of n means it should be computed for each and every point. So T of n1 is the time required for the time required to find the points which are to the left side of P1, P3. And N2 is the time required to find the points which are to the left side of P3, P2. So the average time complexity will be big O of n log n, and the worst case will be big O of n square. So if you analyze this algorithm, so then you will get average case is n log n, and worst case is it is n square. So this is the time complexity of the algorithm. Thank you for watching the video. If you like my video, please like, share and subscribe to our channel. Thank you.